Oh my god, wait. YouTube rocks. Alright, YouTube rocks. You guys watching this video? This is the CEO of Prydwen. I didn't point a gun to his face to say that. Those are his exact words in black and white. So you guys want to cancel Prydwen, that's his name right there. Welcome back to our, I guess, patchly or bi-weekly, very, very serious meta tier list discussion related to our rank 1 gacha game, by the way. Rank 1 gacha game, Honkai Starbucks. With our host today, MrPokke. Right. This is going to be a very, very serious video, as we always do with all of our tier list videos, because we do have the inclusion, right? We do have the inclusion of Anaxa into the tier list. So as per our previous tier list, the way we go about it is that we're going to look at the tier list first. All right, we'll look at the tier list first, and then we'll go back into the changelog and take a look at what exactly has been said. All right. So without further ado, let's take a look. Ooh. Wait, where is Anaxa? What? Okay, so Anaxa is going to be fresh off the shelf, a tier 0.5 as a sub DPS, tier 1 as a main DPS / debuffer. We are in tier 1 for pure fiction, and tier 0 for Apocalyptic Shadows, right? I think generally speaking, this should be the main placements, our preliminary placements for our fresh new DPS Anaxa, right? I don't think the Memory of Chaos tier list changed too much. I have been told that the Apocalyptic Shadows tier list definitely changed quite a bit. So yeah, everything else is basically exactly the same. So let's take a look at where Apocalyptic Shadow is going to be standing right now, real quick. Zam. Same tier as 3B, by the way. Oh my lord, the same tier as 3B. We do have a tier 0.5 as a main DPS. Where are the changes that were made? Oh damn, there are a lot of tier 0.5. Firefly does appear to have the eye icon, and I don't think she's going up to tier 0, right? So we're gonna take a look at what the changelog has to offer. If I had to guess, I think Prydwen is about to kill Firefly, which is a little bit crazy considering she's about to lose Apex tier for all 3 endgame content. Unless Firefly goes up to tier 0. I could be wrong. Let's just go down a little bit more. Okay. Nah, I don't think there are like too many things that change, right? The changes was pre-Anaxa, and now the symbols are gone. Oh, the symbols are gone. Okay, wait, so what were like the major changes? I actually can't remember when was the last time we did Apocalyptic Shadows tier list. DOT is completely dead, it appears. Don't think there's too many. I mean, like, nobody will argue with this, right? I mean, DOT is coming back, guys, right? DOT is eventually going to be coming back once we get the violent girl anyways, so it's going to be completely fine. Wow, there are no 2 tiers for Lingsha, 1 for sustain and 1 for DPS. You know what? You made an excellent point, because you can literally just run a main DPS Lingsha, slap on triple harmony support with HMC, Fugue, and Rame. She's gonna be dealing exceptional damage. You know what? That is pretty fair. That's pretty fair. You can literally just slap in over here, because she herself acts not really because she's like a DPS. It's more so because she can sustain your team while still dealing the toughness bar damage to the bunnies, which are technically contributed by Fugue and Rame. You can then slot in another support to amplify everything together. Not really because the damage is coming from Lingsha, because it's not really Lingsha. It's like the entire Super archetype as a whole. Because she is the one helping you sustain, you can then remove the need for like a sustain slot, because she doubles up as both. So they can slot in the additional support to amplify everything. The flip side is if you were to run her as a sustain, and then you have another DPS, and then the 2 support, which is going to be Rami and Fugue, that additional DPS is not going to help you amplify your damage as much, because it's 1.5 DPS. I'm not sure if what I'm saying here is like 1 DPS plus half a DPS from Lingsha. That's like your DPS combined, right? And then you have the amplification from like 2 supports. Whereas in this case, you're basically running this half a DPS with Lingsha, but because you're adding another support, the entire team's damage gets amplified even further. So a lot of for essentially, yeah, I do believe that, you know, even though she's not really a main DPS, but because of the way that her sustain is structured, she can be run with like a triple harmony support team to make this perform very, very well. Ron Mei is still tier 0 with Babin as well as RMC. Jiao Qiu Sunday, I feel is gonna be on the second half. I think the sustain slots don't really have too big of a difference. Argenti, I'm gonna keep it about. I don't think Bro is gonna, you know, I feel like Argenti in Apocalyptic Shadows is honestly a little bit cooked. If we are going to be taking away from like the number of enemies, right, which is not supposed to be the main feature of Apocalyptic Shadows anyways, it gets very, very difficult for him to generate his charges, especially for Dihera. Especially in like right now, you're against Hule. Hule is technically with the physical, but because there are only 2 mobs and he technically just does like almost like no damage, you're literally just better off running like another DPS personally. So that is fine. Rest of the stuff, I think it's sort of okay. I'm quite interested to see how Scylla is going to be performing nowadays, because I don't think Scylla can one-shot a quantum bug anymore, at least in this day and age, unless especially at E0 S0 probably needs some more vertical investment, and if she can't deal with the bugs in the first half, you know, it's just yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Dale Jing Liu Rage. Okay, at this point, I'm just so fucking curious, man. Like, who the hell is still doing Dr. Ratio nowadays? I have literally not seen Bro for like 6 months. Like, he just took a vacation and he just left. And he just never came back to the office, you know. I have not seen or heard anyone talking about Bro for the past 6 months. To the point where if you were to tell me this guy is a pure tier 5 for everything, I would just believe you. Because I just don't see any semblance of like mention to him whatsoever. So, do you see the stinky thing they did in his trial? No, I have no idea what trial is that. They buffed Dr. Ratio. I mean, we could be getting a buff of Dr. Ratio, right? I think we could be getting a buff of Dr. Ratio. And I feel like it's honestly a little bit crazy that, like, you know, Blade, right? Blade, tier 2, tier 3, tier 2. Jing Liu, tier 2, tier 4, tier 3. Both of them are getting a buff, right? They are getting a buff. Kavga is getting a buff. And then Ratio, the one unit that is technically free for everyone and their moms. I don't even know how you're going to buff Dr. Ratio. How do you buff this guy? You double his chalks. Yep, instead of 2 chalks, you run 4 chalks. 4 chalks, and if the enemy dies when you cast his ultimate, the stacks, it transfers to the next enemy. Yep. And then I'm gonna need those chalks to have ignore defense, ignore rest, and ignore toughness bar. Yep. And then when you shoots out 1 chalk, it shoots out into 3 chalks. Yep. So all those things, everything combined, he'll probably be a tier 1 with 1 DPS with everything combined. Right, I think that is pretty fair. Okay, I think that is, yep, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. They gave him a super weak mob and also gave him an 8-cost team with all 5 stars in trial. Damn, that's absolutely insane. So I think that is fair. I think Anaxa's usage in Apocalyptic Shadow is going to be quite nice, even at E0 S0. In fact, I think his performance overall at E0 S0 is going to be pretty substantial. We could definitely also see the rise of like even hyper carry Anaxa in the Apocalyptic Shadow just because he can deal with toughness bar so fluently, especially if you're going to be able to run him with Sunday, because he's not going to be that skill point hungry for Sunday. He can just do basic attack and he can still do quite a bit of bounce. I would say that Anaxa's placement right here, I think this is a little bit too conservative. Alright, when Sarah told me that Prydwen ranked him like way too low, I thought that she was trolling, right? Because it's like Sarah of the Lake. Yeah, but I think tier 1 is a little bit way too conservative, right? In the same fucking tier as Jingyuan, it's kind of crazy to me. Not to say that Jingyuan is bad, but I think that his overall performance right now, considering the fact that this MOC, right? Like this MOC, is not even for Anaxa. It's not, right? It's literally meant for like your HP scaling DPS. The next MOC is meant for Anaxa, and Bro is still like outputting, I would say, very, very considerable performance generally across the board, especially when you want to compare it to, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't think at the same benchmark he's gonna be anywhere near any of these other DPSs, right? Like for example, facial, boot heal, all this kind of stuff, single target is not gonna be too good against like units like your mobs, right? Even in second half of facial against Kafka side, thankfully there are no mobs, but because of Pegasus, they're so fucking tanky. You're gonna take like 5,000 years just to deal with them at E0 base attack. Yeah, I think our next up probably definitely needs to get at least tier 0.5, right? At least tier 0.5. With the amount of units that you have, you can basically just run him as either the option for Herda support, which in this case I think for a supplementary DPS, I think this is okay. I do believe that there's no fucking role this bitch is still here, right? So please just kill this guy. All right, just jump it down, bada boom. There's no fucking way this guy is standing next to the the shoulders of giants, that is Anaxa and Jade, right? Argentine, nobody knew you. Bye-bye. Other than that, I think for a main DPS perspective, even though if it's I think it doesn't deal as much damage as, for example, Aglaya running the best in slot team with like Babin Sunday as well as Huang. But I do think the tier 0.5 is still a very, very fair assessment, especially since, like I mentioned, this environment is not for him, right? So that is pretty much it. Other than that, I think the rest of the units look pretty okay. Sunday, I think he's still very, very fair at tier 0 against, even though if he's not going to be best in slot with Cassius, he still works very well with every single one of the other DPSs. Sustain slots, I think they're all going to be fine. I do think that Gallagher is absolutely the GOAT though. Like, for considering the fact that as a free unit, he is essentially one of, if not the best and most widely available sustains to every single team outside of Rick. I think he's just truly the GOAT, right? If you want to talk about cost investment, I might as well just slap him over here because it's a free unit, right? It's literally a free unit. So very, very good. Fu Xuan, me personally, I just really like Fu Xuan's sustain. I think Fu Xuan is very, very comfortable. But she does, in fact, lack the utility compared to, for example, the toughness bar breaking, the energy regeneration, and all the things that they provide. So it's a little bit unfortunate. But I think for confidence, I think Fu Xuan is still going to be fine. Especially if you are not running White Fu, try running White Fu. Like Quadra HP main stats, maybe triple HP with 1 energy regeneration, very, very comfortable sustain. So that's going to be that. Rest of the supports, I don't think that's too big of a deal. I could see Sparkle dropping down half a tier unless she gets buffed, and I think she desperately needs a buff. I have not seen Tingy for 10,000 years. I have not seen Brian for 10,000 years. Pella, I honestly still see quite a decent number of usage. HMC, for the people that still don't want to use Mimi, I think that's fine. But I think Sparkle can just go down a little bit here. Aside from that, I think there are not too big of a change here, if I can say so myself. Let me take a look at Pure. I think Pure Vision didn't get updated, right? So we're still cooking. Then Apocalyptic Shadow is the one that is the one with the updates. Alright, let's take a look at the changelog. As per usual with every new release, small update to our tier list, and Anaxa is no exception. As a hybrid character capable of being played as a DPS or support damage dealer, we are ranking him both in the DPS and support. I think that's very, very fair. So here are some extra infos about his ratings. Mock, support damage. Support damage dealer Anaxa is without a doubt powerful, especially on DLI. Doesn't have quite the meta impact a character like 3B does. I think this is very, very fair. I think this is very, very fair. On the other side of the spectrum, we want to see how much of a gap emerges between teams with Dioda and Anaxa versus team with Argenti or Jade before drawing line. I think this is also a very fair argument, right? Because honestly, if you already have Jade and Jade is doing like is really, really like super, super strong pairing with Dioda, there isn't too big of a reason to separate Anaxa to be like above Jade, right? I think they are both very, very similar in that regard. So this is also very fair. This is if Anaxa's amateur support ranking a little bit up in the air, but we may anyway. Nah, I think tier 0.5 for his role over here is gonna be quite nice, right? This is gonna be pure fiction. DPS plus support damage. Despite being a erudition character, Anaxa isn't that strong AoE. Yep, I think you guys have seen it before, right? Especially in pure vision, if you don't implant the weaknesses every single time the new wave spawns, especially in wave 2 and wave 3 for the bosses, you don't get the additional follow-up, which can be very, very annoying because wave 1, you might end up losing a lot of action value, sometimes maybe even going into the very, very first cycle before you even reach the second cycle, right? Because when the mobs die, the thing don't bounce. So it is what it is. His primary of that is fire time bounce that splits between damage to all targets, gains a token damage percent bonus the more enemies he's fighting, but far enough from allowing to kill with true erudition characters like Jade. Or yep, this is very, very fair. With that being said, the first pure vision phase of the Anaxa phase contains a buff tailor-made for him. We expect him to do well initially, but have lower scores after. Ooh, I've played these games before. Right? As Apocalyptic Shadows, DPS plus support damage, Apocalyptic Shadow is one of the strongest modes owing to the fact that he can allow the entire team to do toughness bar damage to the enemy, regardless of their weaknesses. This is great for brute forcing off elements fights if necessary, and most scenarios will allow you to access a huge team-wide bonus upon bringing the enemy far more quickly. I think this is also very, very fair. I do have a little bit more of a concern when you're up against units like Hule, because Hule's toughness bar is not going to be tied to Hule himself. Right? And in fact, I think this is one of the first few instances where Hule's entire time, you can't deal any damage to his toughness bar unless you kill the mobs to provide Hule. For the first half, the bug, it is not that much because that only happens on his phase 2, and then you have to pop off the little bugs to deal toughness bar damage. But Hule is basically like the entire fight until you get into the 1v1 stage. So if that is going to be the case, it might be a little bit annoying if Anaxa himself can't really help us deal with the mobs as efficiently as compared to others, right? So, something to keep in mind. I'll take a look and forward to see what sort of future Apocalyptic Shadow is going to be coming out with regards to the enemy's mechanics. Because nowadays, toughness bar breaking themselves just by implanting weakness, I don't think it's going to be enough anymore. Because even if you implant weakness, number one, there's no rest down, and number two, the toughness bar doesn't even move. Right, you have to actually play with the mechanics intended for the boss itself to actually deal toughness bar damage. So just because you implant weakness, it doesn't really necessarily mean that it will be the best in class scenario. But for that, we have to wait and see what are the future MOC bosses are going to be coming out. Right? So next time that. Okay, I think that is Anaxa's assessment, right? And I think I sort of missed this out the other day. So let's just catch up a little bit more. In recent updates, we hinted that this Apocalyptic Shadow will be a major one. We focus on raising the power level of the highest rated characters. Our assessment and for a change when blah 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 blah. Okay, Kazris Tier 0. Okay, very, very good. Scylla actually went up by 2 whole tiers. Somehow, Scylla has put convincing scores in another phase of AS. As per our criteria, we're raising her out of tier 3 into tier 2, following through the watch list. Firefly going down to tier 0.5. Okay. Firefly has been struggling in MOC and Pure Fiction as based on our results of the past 3 periods of AS. She is also struggling in Apocalyptic Shadows as well for the same reasons. Enemies that aren't fire weak are extremely AoE focused or conveniently dodge the fire implant from a technique in some form or another. We are lowering our score to tier 0.5 this update, but recognize that the scores are towards the bottom. Oh my god, it's not even just tier 0.5. It is like the bottom of the barrel tier 0.5. So we are watch listing Firefly to potential. Okay, wait. Yo, Private, I just want to ask a question. Has there been a single update where you guys just don't bring down Firefly? Dude, I feel like every single time I come into a Prydwen tier list, like every single update for MOC, Apo, and Pure Fusion, is like Firefly goes down. Firefly goes down. Firefly watch this. It's like, ooh. It's a little bit crazy, no? I mean, like, bro, she's my girlfriend, man. Caught, and there it is, right? And there it is. Yeah, hey, she at the end of the day, she's still my girlfriend. Let's show a little bit more respect, right? Let's show a little bit more respect. I think for Firefly to drop, I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong, right? But I haven't even seen the data. But like, yeah, for Firefly to drop down in the mode built for break DPS to be no longer tier 0, okay, then tell me this. Why would I use Firefly anywhere else then? Pure Vision is out of the window. Memory of Chaos is at tier 1. And now you're going to be telling me that the mode that was literally made for break DPS, she's not going to be tier 0. Oh my god, wait. YouTube Frogs. This is the CEO of Prydwen. Alright, YouTube Frogs. You guys watching this video? This is the CEO of Prydwen. I didn't point a gun to his face to say that. Those are his exact words in black and white. So if you guys want to cancel Prydwen, that's his name right there. See y'all in the Anders, see you in the what is that thing called? See you on Twitter, buddy. Right, see you on Twitter. It is actually over for you. Right, it is actually over for you. Right, okay, so that is gonna be that. There it is. Reba is also dropping. Right, so okay, to be fair, it is not just Reba. It is also it's not just Firefly. It is also with Reba. So this is gonna be, despite break falling behind the power curve a little bit, Reba isn't really struggling. She's just performing more in line with characters in tier 0.5 compared to tier 0 for this reason. Okay, so for example, Reba is like the top of 0.5. And then Firefly is like about to fail, is where I'm getting it. It's like Reba is at the top of class for the second class uppers, and then Firefly is about to flunk out of second class uppers. So, okay. Jingyuan died half a tier. As the lightning DPS, Jingyuan has 2 direct competitions, Aglaya and Acheron, both of which has held a slight lead. I feel like slight lead is an understatement. This phase has led that slightly to become noticeably larger because both of them perform very well despite the bosses possessing lightning resistance, while Jingyuan struggled. In the gap between the 3 isn't that big, it's enough that we're moving Jingyuan. I think that is pretty fair. Oh my god, wait. Yunli? What the fuck did she do, bruh? Wait, what the actual fuck did Yunli do? Okay, Himeko I understand, right? But like, wait, what the fuck did Yunli do? Is she, what happened, bruh? Nah, not my gold Yunli, man. Nah, my Yunli keeps dying. Have you tried just not dying? Have you tried dodging, little bro? Have you tried parrying? Do you mess up your parry timings on Yunli? Parry, right? Parry mod. They call me Mr. Parry in E33 as well. She didn't do nothing good. Oh, okay. I think that's a little bit sad. I think Yunli is honestly very, very fun. And I still feel like her performance is going to be quite nice. But okay, it is what it is again. Ting Yun Fa Gyu and HMC half a tier each. The break archetype is dying. It's dying everywhere. Every single break team investors is like the fucking, you know, .com bubble crash. I'm not sure if you guys were alive, but back in my days, right, the .com bubble crash, you know, in the early years of 2000, when the okay, maybe not internet in this context, the early years of 2024, when super break was a thing, everyone and their moms were going super break, super break, super break. They sold their house, sold their everything. They just went all in super break because super break was absolutely insane. Alas, the bubble is crashing. The bubble is crashing. I have not seen a day, not just Firefly by the way, I have not seen a day where Prydwen updates their tier list and Sunbreak is not doing well. Like, if you want to take a look back at my old videos, it's over for Firefly. War is here. War is coming. Alright. Aggron fell off. Alright, where is the Prydwen super break? Let me get a super break. And there it is. Super break is no more. Oh my god, guys. Bro, can you remove this? Wait, can we remove this? Can someone remove this? Everyone needs super break. 11 months ago. Super break is no more. I think this is a great post. Oh my god. In a span of not even, is it 8 months? 11 months ago to 7 months ago. 11、19、8、7、6、5、4、3. Yeah, in a span of 8 months, right? In a span of 8 months. Ooh, yikes. The break archetype has begun falling behind the power curve. You know what? We're just gonna throw this in for a little bit more of a fuel right here. And there it is. And there it is. Right? Yo, chat. Please start commenting. Stop lying to me! I love Super Break! You know, you're just lying. You're just a fucking face out. You're a crit shell. You're a crit. You're a caster shell. Stop fucking lying to me. Where? I need everybody to type that right now. Right? To show that you support. You will never abandon Firefly. You will never abandon Super Break. Right? Very, very good. Okay, let's just kind of take a look over here. Firefly is suffering and Rabbi isn't dominating. Rame still has a niche as a character able to extend your team progress throughout the boss and blah, blah, blah. Fugue and Trailblazer aren't as immune and are losing a bit of their age as the meta has shifted. Based on these facts, they are dead. Okay, it is what it is. All these units. Who the fuck is Squid Knife? Okay, this is, yep, okay, yep, well, nothing new there. Okay, yep, and there it is. Right. Okay, with that, we have in fact come to the end of our Anaxa tier list update as well as a Apocalyptic Shadows tier list update. Is it actually over? Question mark. Is it actually over? Right? Please read your copy pasta. I had a home once, 4 walls, a roof, a sense of financial stability. Then Firefly appeared, a beacon of gacha perfection, a siren calling me to ruin. Just one pool, I said, just one more, and thus began my descent. The first 10 pools, nothing. The next 10, pain, but I couldn't stop. Rent money, gone. Savings, burned. My landlord knocked. I had no currency but regret. With a swift eviction notice, I was cast into the streets, homeless, but holding my phone, watching Firefly's ultimate. I think that's going to be our word of the day, guys. That's a beautiful, beautiful live experience that my mod has just shared. Alright, a beautiful, beautiful experience. This is the word of the day. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join TikTok, and join Twitter. All the best for your gacha pools. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. It's over.